Hey guys, welcome back to One Stop Biology. So today we are going to discuss two different topics, which is dicot and monocot leaf. So till now we have already covered some topics of the chapter 6, which is anatomy of flowering plants, basically chapter 6 of class 11th NCERT biology. And we have already covered different types of tissues, tissue system, then we have covered monocot and dicot root, and in the last video we covered monocot and dicot stem. So let's start with the dicot leaf first. So basically the dicotyledonous leaf is also known as dorsiventral leaf, right? So let's see how the dorsiventral leaf, a dicot leaf, looks like. If we cut a vertical section of a dorsiventral leaf through the lamina, you know what lamina is? So basically, if I draw a leaf, it basically is something like this, right? Right? So we have a midrib, right? We have different veins inside a leaf, right? So this flat structure, this whole flat structure is nothing but the lamina, right? So the thin, flat layer of leaf is lamina, right? So if we cut a vertical section of the dorsiventral leaf through the lamina, it shows three main parts, right? And these three main parts are epidermis, mesophyll, and the vascular system. Okay, now epidermis basically covers both the upper surface and the lower surface. The upper surface is known as adaxial epidermis, and lower surface is known as Abaxial epidermis. So basically, if we see this leaf, the upper surface and the surface below this, basically, if we see a leaf in a 3D kind of model, it would somewhat be like a layer, right? Something like this, right? Even below this, there will be a layer. So say this is a 3D layer. Now this is the upper surface and this below it is the lower surface, right? Which you can see when you flip the leaf basically, right? So the upper surface is known as the adaxial epidermis and the lower surface epidermis is known as the abaxial epidermis. So epidermis covers both the upper surface and the lower surface of the leaf, and it has a conspicuous cuticle as well. Again, I would make you remember that we studied in a previous video that cuticle is present in case of both stem and leaf, but is not present in the case of root, right? So the abaxial epidermis, the lower surface epidermis, generally bears more stomata than the upper surface, than the adaxial surface, right? And it might also happen that the upper surface completely lacks stomata, right? Now, the tissue between the upper and the lower epidermis is known as mesophyll. It is known as mesophyll, right? Now, this mesophyll possess chloroplast. Now, again, I'll make you remember that in one of the video we discussed that it is part of the ground tissue system, right? So these mesophyll possess chloroplast and they carry out photosynthesis, right? Which is again a very, very important and basic feature of a plant to carry out photosynthesis to prepare their own food, right? So these mesophyll are the cells, are the tissues which possess chloroplast and they carry out photosynthesis, and it is made up of parenchyma. It is made up of parenchyma. So basically these mesophylls have two different types of cells. And what are these two different types of cells? So one is the Palisade parenchyma and the other one is Spongy parenchyma. Now, what is the difference basically? So, the Palisade parenchyma is adaxially present. Okay, so it is present on the upper surface. Okay, now this is made up of elongated cells which are arranged vertically and are parallel to each other. Okay, now what about the other one? Now, this one is oval or round and is loosely arranged. So these are vertically arranged parallel to each other and they are elongated cells. Spongy parenchyma are oval or round and they are loosely arranged. Now these are basically the spongy parenchyma are situated below the palisade. So remember it is basically situated below the palisade cells, below the palisade parenchyma, and it extends to the lower epidermis or abaxial epidermis, right? Now there are also numerous large spaces and air cavities present in between these cells, right? Third one is the vascular system, right? So what are the vascular system? So vascular system of a plant basically include the two type of cells. So basically they include vascular bundles and those vascular bundles have xylem and phloem. Right. So these vascular system include vascular bundles, and you can see these vascular bundles in the veins and the midrib, right? Now the size of these vascular bundles are dependent on the size of the veins. Now the veins vary in thickness in the reticulate venation of the dicot leaf. So we have studied all these topics like reticulate venation and everything in the previous videos, and all these videos are available on the YouTube channel itself. So if you are not aware of any such term, please do check out the previous videos, or you can also ask these questions in the comment as a comment below. So don't forget to comment if you are not aware of any such topic. Okay, so let's continue with the vascular system. So these vascular system includes vascular bundles which can be seen in veins and midrib. Now the size of these vascular bundles are dependent on the size of the veins, and these veins basically vary in thickness in reticulate venation of the dicot leaf. Also, vascular bundles are surrounded by a layer of thick walled basically bundle sheath cells. So let's see a dicot leaf, once TS of a dicot leaf. So if you see this, let me now first what we'll do is we will just label the diagram completely. Okay, so the outermost layer, as we discussed, was the upper epidermis is adaxial epidermis, and the lower epidermis is Abaxial Epidermis. Okay. Now, what we studied was that there are palisade mesophyll cells, right? These are elongated and are arranged parallel to each other, right? And below that are spongy mesophyll. Now, we also saw that these cells have air cavity in between them, right? And we also studied that the lower level have stomata. So the opening that you see here is of stomata, and there are some substomatal cavity present. Okay, now let's go to this. So basically, this is nothing but the vascular bundle. It is one of the vascular bundle. So here you have bundle sheath, you have xylem, and you have phloem. So, guys, this is the structure of a dicot leaf. I hope you understood the entire structure very well, and I would request you to practice it by yourself as well. Several times. As you can see, I have drawn this diagram myself. So, let me tell you that if you need these curated notes that I have made, with the keeping in perspective your boards as well as NEET UG exam, you can also go and check my website, onestopbiology.com, or you can also message me on the WhatsApp number given in the description of the video to get these notes. And guys, if you are able to understand the video, don't forget to like it and share it with your friends. So let's move on. Basically, this is the structure of a dicot leaf, right? Now let's see a few more things. So basically here you can see that there the vascular bundle is present, and the vascular bundle is surrounded by the bundle sheath cells. Now let me also remind you that bundle sheath cells again are part of what? Ground tissues, right? So this is the structure of a dicot leaf. Now let's move on to the structure of a monocot leaf. Now, as we call the dicot leaf as a dorsiventral leaf as well, we call monocot leaf as the isobilateral leaf. What? It is also known as isobilateral leaf. Okay, so let's study the structure a bit in detail. So we call it as isobilateral leaf as well. Now, in an isobilateral leaf, the stomata are present on both the surfaces of epidermis. So, as we have, you know, epidermis present on the upper and the lower layer of the leaf, and but in the case of dicot leaf, what we saw that the stomata is mostly present on the lower surface, but in the case of a monocot leaf, the stomata is present on both the surface, the upper as well as the lower. And mesophyll is not differentiated into. Remember, guys, these are the differences, and you'll have to remember it very well that mesophyll is not differentiated into palisade and spongy parenchyma. Now, even in the case of grasses, what happens is that certain adaxial epidermal cells, along with veins, they modify themselves and they form large empty colored cells which are known as bulliform cells. So remember this term again, it is very important. What are bulliform cells? So in grasses, in case of monocot leaf, in the case of grasses, some adaxial, that means the upper surface. So adaxial epidermal cells along with the veins. Now, what are veins? So if I draw a leaf again, these are the veins, right? So these are the veins. This is the midrib, right? So these veins, along with adaxial epidermal cells, they form large empty colorless cells, and these cells are known as bulliform cells. Now, when the bulliform cells in the leaves have absorbed water, then what happens? So when they absorb water and are turgid, the leaf surface is basically exposed. And when they are flaccid due to water stress, they make the leaf curl inwards to minimize water loss. So it again, these forming these bulliform cells is very important because they are controlling water loss in the case of grasses. When they absorb water and are turgid, the leaf surface is exposed. So basically transpiration increases. But when they are flaccid and they do not have water in themselves, when they are in water stress, they make the leaves curl inward so that transpiration is less and water loss is minimized, right? Now, in the case of monocot leaves, they have parallel venation, right? In the case of dicot, we have reticulate venation. In the case of monocot leaves, we have parallel venation. So the parallel venation in monocot leaves is reflected in the near similar sizes of vascular bundles, except in the main vein. which is in the vertical section of the leaf. So again, as we saw in the case of dicot leaf, that the size of the vascular bundles depend usually depends on the size of the vein. In the same way here as well, it is basically similar to the size of the vein. Here it's here as well, right? So what happens now is we'll see the diagram of monocot leaf and we'll understand it even better. So this is the transverse section of a monocot leaf, right? So here again we have adaxial epidermis and abaxial epidermis. Okay, we have stomata. Now see that we have stomata on the lower surface and we have stomata on the upper surface as well, right? Now again in between there are mesophyll cells, but they are not differentiated into palisade and spongy mesophyll, right? Now here if you see again you have substomatal cavity. And then you can see this complete region. This complete region is nothing but the bun vascular bundle, right? Now here this is xylem. So this structure is xylem and this is phloem, right? So these are phloem cells. Basically, these are phloem cells. Okay, so again, you can see the difference if you see both these structures, right? So let me just try and, you know, zoom in a bit to make you understand both these structures. I hope it's clear. I hope both these structures are clear. So if you see here, you have different types of cells present here, but here you have just one type of mesophyll. Here you do not have stomata on the upper surface, but in the case of monocot leaf, you have stomata on the upper and lower surface, both. And also you can see that the bundle sheath is present, the vascular just around the vascular bundle. Here you do not have that. Here vascular bundles are seen differently, and here they are very different, right? So see, so many differences are there in between a monocot and a dicot leaf, right? I hope guys you would have understood the entire structure very, you know, properly, and you do not have any doubt. In case you have any doubt, please do not forget to ask all your doubts. And if you basically understood the video very well, please do not forget to like it and do ask your doubts in the comment section of the video, or even if you liked the video, please, just mention anything in the comment that you like, maybe to boost my morale, and share it with your friends as much as you can. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.